Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna make a second video to my most popular video, which that is my homemade Atlas stone challenge. Today I'm gonna try to do it cheaper and easier. I've learned a lot. I've made 2 successful Atlas stones and I've actually tried to make 4. So using all that knowledge, I'm gonna try to make the best and cheapest Atlas stone mold, so hopefully you can make Atlas stone molds at home. I feel like this will be about $10 for the mold, maybe about another 10 to 15 for the cement. So you'll get your own very own Atlas stone for around $25 as opposed to buying the molds online, which can be hundreds of dollars. So my stone, I decided to make one right in the middle. This one's going to be about 250 pounds. And this is how you want to set this up. I blew this ball up to the circumference. You want to make sure you'll have the air gauge underneath the cup, because I'm still going to paper mache it. And then I use one of these tapes to wrap it around to the right circumference. Make sure it's the right amount. And I do it a little bit bigger because it does kind of get compressed. So again, this one should be about 250 pounds. So now I'm going to paper mache it up, and I'm only going to try a thin layer this time because I have another idea. I just used some Elmer's glue and a bucket and some newspaper, and I'll come back after I have a layer of paper mache on here. And again, I'm going to keep it thin this time because I have another idea I'm going to try out later. I'm probably only going to do a couple layers just so it'll make a nice mold and hold its shape. Alright guys, it's been about 2 hours I've been working on this. I got the initial covered. The ball's still in there. The hole's on the bottom side. When I flip it over, I set it on like a bowl, and so then it like helps keep its form a little bit as I do the opposite side from the hole. So the hole's down in that bucket. I used probably a little under a quarter of this Elmer's glue, and to make the paper mache, all I do is just mix about 50-50 water and Elmer's glue and stir it up real good. And then you don't want to use very much. You want to dip the paper in and then like scrape it up off, most of it off, and then slap it on, because if you have on too much it can get wrinkly and it takes forever to dry. So now I'll leave this till tomorrow, and then I'll pull out the ball and then I'll touch it up and do the next steps. Alright guys, this is one of my favorite parts here. It's been about 24 hours since I finished this. It is not all the way dry, but it actually doesn't dry very well with the ball in here. So notice how I left this valve right here. I'm just gonna pull this out, and all it has to do is be hard enough not to collapse, and then you can pull this ball out and then let it dry. It dries a lot better that way. So hopefully it's ready, and you just let it air out and pull it out of the hole. Come back and show you when it's all done. You might have to push down on it a little bit to get it all the way out, but hopefully it's dry enough to hold its shape. So again, that's pretty wet in there, but the problem is it won't really dry until you get the ball out. So once it's good enough to hold its form, I'd recommend taking out the ball and then letting it dry. It should be pretty dry tomorrow, and then I'll do the next step. So if you leave the ball in like longer until it dries a little more, I'm not really sure that it'll ever completely dry all the way, because it stays really wet on that ball, and this way it helps circulate it. I will say make sure you like put it in kind of like a rounded thing. It'll help it keep it from getting misformed when you go to make the mold the next step. Alright guys, here's the progress on the mold. So we let that paper mache dry. We took out the ball. I let it dry for about maybe a day and a half, 2 days, just to really get nice and hard. And then the next step, and I did this on the last ball too, was I covered the outside in duct tape. Make sure you overlap the edges to help keep liquid out. And then, different from last time, I actually put duct tape on the inside. Same method, overlapping around. It took about a roll and a half of duct tape, the big rolls. Last time I did this, I used polyurethane to try to waterproof the inside. But some commenters said, well, why not just duct tape the inside? So it seemed to have added strength to the inside, but then also it should be waterproof. And then the next step, which is a tip I saw either on another video or I read online, is I'm now going to dig a hole, and I'm going to bury this about 3/4 of the way deep in the ground. And then that way it'll keep it from warping as I put in the concrete. Because the last ball I made got warped because I had it on a tire. So if it's in the ground or in sand, it helps cradle it, it helps it keep its shape better. So I'm gonna bury this. I'll come back when I'm done. One thing to note, here in Washington, we've had a really sort of crappy summer, and it looks like it might rain. The internet said it should be okay to pour concrete and let it set in the rain and just to cover up the top. So I'll come back once it's buried. I'll mix up the concrete. I got all the concrete, and I will say, just from experience, I get probably at least 10 to 15 pounds extra from what you want to make. So that's a 250-pound stone. I think I have 280 pounds of concrete here to mix it up, because it's better to have a little extra than to not have enough. And this is just quickcrete, and most of these bags I bought were damaged, so they're half off. So this is about 15 bucks in concrete to make a 250-pound stone, again because the bags are damaged. So I'll come back once that's buried and I'll start mixing up the concrete. Alright guys, we got this buried about 3/4 of the way full. I'm about to mix up some concrete, and then right on that hole I'm gonna okay guys, final step. I left it in the hole about 2.5 days. It's pretty dry. I'm gonna cut it open. I'll come back and show you. I will say online it says let it sit for 4 days, but really 2.5 days are good. And they say don't try picking it up and dropping it for 8 days. Probably go about 6 days. So here's what it looks like, all dried up, all dug up. Cut it out, come back and show you, see what we think. So here we are. It looks pretty dang good on this side. Again, this is the side that was in the ground. A little more like pock marks than some other ones I'm used to, and I'm not sure if it's from the rocks or what. This side looks really good. This side, for some reason, there's a big crack, which I've never had any come out with big cracks like this. So I don't know if it was because of the humidity in the air or what, but it definitely got a big crack. I'm a little worried about that. Should still be serviceable. So I would say that mold definitely worked that way, that thinner mold with just the duct tape. And again, that's about a 250-pound stone. Is it perfect? You know, not really, I guess, but you know, for a fraction of the cost you can make it. And now I have 3 stones of varying sizes here. We got the 305, the 250, and the 185. So I mean, always a mixed bag when you make them this way. Okay guys, I've been working with this concrete and mortar repair. I did this on my first stone. So this is kind of like the first, I haven't even really finished the first layer, but as you can see, it's a lot better texture. This is where there's that big crack sealed in. So, I mean, again, this is just like any DIY project where if, you know, if it doesn't come out the way you want it, you try to figure out something else and keep fixing it. But now the texture's a lot more to my liking. The bubbles are gone, it's a lot smoother. I fixed that crack, and I'll kind of try to sculpt around in here where the bucket was, so it's not quite so flat. So I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product, and that'll be it. Okay, so here's the finished stone. I still have some of that sealant left, so I might go back through and touch up some of these cracks and divots and stuff, just try to make it a little more smooth. But yeah, this is the general idea. And again, like you said earlier, is it perfect? You know, no. You probably get a lot better stone with a mold, but hey, it's pretty good. The mold for this is like 150 bucks. So I think it costs 2 rolls of duct tape. So about $12–15. It costed the glue for the paper mache, you know, maybe a quarter of a jug, some old newspaper, the cement, which was about 20 bucks worth of cement, and then the sealant, and you have a pretty nice 250-pound stone. Where if you bought this used from somebody that had a mold, or you bought this from somebody that makes stones and sells them, I mean, this would probably go for 150-ish bucks, 125 bucks. So, you know, for 30 bucks, we made this, you know, pretty decent stone now. So, anyways, tune in for the next video. Once it's dry in a few days, I'll post another video of me lifting it.